Hello, my art-loving friends. Today I have 5 boxes, one big, the rest small, to show you with fun art supplies inside, and we're going to try them out as well. Not all of them, but most of them. The first box is a Happy Mail box. This came from a longtime friend and subscriber of the channel. First, we have this really cute bandana. This is so adorable. I can see this on one of our dogs for sure. So keep your eyes posted. I have dog videos at the end of every video here, and maybe you'll see that in the future. That little thing is a mini Altoids 10 insert to put your own paint into, and I'll show you more about that later. The next item in this very well wrapped packaging is the Jackson's Gum Arabic. She did tell me a couple of things, many things that were in this box, and this is one of them because there's a way to make your own watercolor paint in this box, which we won't actually get into in this video, but you will see all the supplies for that. So we have Mars Brown. This is pigment powder. So watercolor pigment powder. Mars Black. Titanium White. Cobalt Blue. This one looks really pretty. I was shaking it down so I could show you the pigment powder. It's so pretty. That is such a nice color. This yellow is Cadmium Lemon. Then we have a red. I went too fast by that one. A Terre Verte, basically, a green earth. And I think that's an ultramarine blue. I can't quite read it, and I went by it too fast. Yellow ochre. So a lot of great colors there. A dark brown. So this will be fun to explore in the future. Maybe we could make some custom mixes with custom colors. This is also part of that. This is a huge bottle of vegetable glycerin. I have a small bottle of this that I have used in the past to make my paint stay softer longer, and particularly gouache. I used this with my dried palette for Arteza gouache, and it did definitely help prevent it from cracking. Now there is the glass molar handle. I don't really know what those are called, but it is the thing that you rub over the pigment with the liquid and get it really small and fine and all blended. This one here is clove oil, and it's great to put in your watercolors. It helps prevent bacteria, mold growth, that kind of thing. Big bottle of clove oil. Next up is this masking fluid 10 brush set. Now I have always used a rubber or silicone applicator for masking fluid, but sometimes using an actual brush is useful, so it'll be interesting to try that out. Now in this package, she did tell me these were coming. This is a set of White Nights watercolors, and I do have a lot of White Nights watercolors already, and she knew that. So she thought if these were all duplicates, I could pass them on to the girls in my life, basically my daughters-in-law. And look at the color selection. It's really quite pretty. And I will need to compare these at a later time in a later video. We will do an entire White Nights video later where we see if there are any new colors in this set. I'm very excited to find out. This here is white marble dust. Now, I need to go back and look at my messages with her, and I'll probably just message her again. Why? Like, what purpose is this? Is this to make the watercolor pigment kind of shiny or mica? I am dying to know, so I will message her right after this video. This is a surprise. This is the Etchr Spring It Up watercolor set. I'm really excited to receive this because I actually gave away all of my Etchr watercolors to Kimberly Crick because she was going to test them, and unfortunately her health has not allowed her to do that. So now I have a few more. She's given me, the same subscriber friend has given me Etchr watercolors in the past, and we will compare these colors in a later video with what I already have, and I know there are new ones in here. So it will be exciting to have these and do light fast testing on them and all of that I usually do with all of my watercolors. And I think I already mentioned she surprised me with some things, and this limited edition accordion sketchbook was one of them. This is a square 7x7 accordion sketchbook. So she has given me accordion sketchbooks in the past. They've been much smaller. And I'm excited for this square one. I love square format sketchbooks. I am going to leave this in the plastic. I'm not going to open it right now because it's going to be a while before I can get to it, and I want the sizing to stay good. So this is an unopened Scrawlrbox. There are so many good things inside this Scrawlrbox. First of all, we have Winsor & Newton watercolor postcards. It did not say cotton anywhere on it, and I did not open this package to actually fill the paper because I have so many opened postcards right now that I really need to get through. So leaving the plastic wrap on them will leave the sizing as good as possible, as long as possible. The Scrawler zine has lots of fun spoilers, hints, tips, and stuff that can get you motivated to paint. And one of my favorite things about these subscription boxes are the prints you get with them. This print is absolutely lovely. It is by Katerina Kramova. And there's all her information. In the hidden tissue paper, not hidden, but you know what I mean, it's hiding the goods inside. We have so many fun things. We have the sucker. It is a sweet. A Winsor & Newton fine liner pen in the size 0.5, and it's black. That thing is actually lovely. Winsor & Newton Cotman round size 6 brush. I started my painting life with Winsor & Newton Cotman brushes. I have a soft spot in my heart for them. I love them. They're very good brushes. And a cute little sticker that kind of matches the print. I have such a great idea to do with stickers that I keep telling you guys I'm going to do someday. Anyway, we have these colors: Viridian Hue, Green Earth, Smalt Blue. Aren't these colors lovely? And I think they're colors I do not have already. Raw Umber and Quinacridone Violet. So let's see what these look like out on paper. I am going to use the print that came with the Scrawlrbox for inspiration because it is gorgeous. I am also going to use these little ceramic palettes that I bought, last year or the year before and never had the opportunity to use. And I love them. They're so cute. For my paper surface, I'll be using my Caddy Fat Book. This is 100% cotton rag paper, so it does not act like Arches or Bauhanger or Meeden or Winsor & Newton professional cotton paper, but it sure is fun. So let's squeeze all these out and see what these colors look like. The first color we're going to try is the Quinacridone Violet. This is a PV55 with the light fast rating of 1, which is Winsor & Newton's highest light fast rating. And I think you can see from here that it is a lovely violet color. Next, I'm going to add a little touch of the raw umber in there. That is a PBR7, which is a really fun pigment you don't see overly often. So that's a good one. Next up is the Green Earth or Terre Verte. This is a combination of PG23 and PB28, light fastness of 1 as well. This is traditionally a very low tinting color, so you won't get a lot of strength with it off the bat or even with layers so much, but it really does have a lovely hue. Next up, I'm going to mix a little bit of the Quin Violet with the raw umber to try and get a kind of pink colored hue in the sky. I had a little bit extra raw umber in the side of my brush that I didn't anticipate there, but that's okay. A little bit of water will fix the problem. So it makes a really lovely combination. I did want to start putting in my mountain ranges, and I can't do that with wet paper. So out with the heat gun and drying off the paper. Once the paper was dry enough, I had a combination of the Quinacridone Violet and the Smalt Blue, which is a PV15, if I'm remembering correctly. Yes, light fast of 1. You can see it's just a slightly different hue than the Quinacridone Violet on its own down in the bottom left corner. So I thought that was a lovely mountain range color for the distant mountain. That one got a little dark, so I decided to water it down and get the rest. So out with the heat gun again, drying that off so I can do my next layer. And the next layer has just a slight additional touch of the Smalt Blue in it. And you can see how lovely that comes out. Now, I didn't really want to do the blob here and there, but what I had on my brush from cleaning off the lids of the tubes made it where I would normally work from back to front on this kind of project, but I had to put in those blobs of color to get the color off my brush without wasting it. So I kind of worked all over until I got to this step here where I was starting to work like I prefer on these kind of scenes from back to front. Now I'm adding in a little bit of the Viridian hue. If I'm remembering correctly, I have Viridian, the actual Viridian, which is a PG-18 in Winsor & Newton professional watercolor brand, but I do not have this hue, which is a PG7, PY42, and PY43 combination. So quite an interesting combination, and you probably saw when I was dipping my brush there, I did mix this Viridian hue with a little bit of the green earth, and of course now you're seeing that I am putting in some of the raw umber and just kind of filling in slots, mixing all the colors together here and there as I see fit, and it is so much fun. Now here there is still a little bit of the raw umber in my brush, but it is mostly smalt blue. And you can see how beautiful and dark this gets. And granted, yes, this is a little bit contaminated with the raw umber, but beautiful, isn't it? I am so excited to have smalt blue. And while I know time lapses aren't everyone's favorites, feel free to skip ahead about 28 seconds if you don't like time lapses. I do know that many people, including me, like to see the process. So here is the sped up version of me finishing this part of the painting. After this, we're going to get out the fine liner and test that out, and we'll finish up the painting with some really thin brush strokes as well. It'll be quite an interesting process, and having this reference photo look at is so lovely. It's just really a fun reference photo. So here is that Winsor & Newton fine liner. Again, this is size 0.5 in black, and I know my hand's in the way, but you can kind of see there I'm just putting black lines like we had in the reference photo. I'll also be adding a lot of dots throughout the painting, so I will speed that up for you as well. Now, adding fine liner is not something I often do, but it really can add a lovely element to paintings. Now here I am getting out my silver black velvet size 6 round brush, and I'm just creating a dark color to put some of those fine lines that you see. You can barely see the reference photo off there to the left, but I am going to kind of emulate those types of lines that I see in the reference photo. So this is kind of like a dark purple blue, and that worked really well for this section. And then I will make kind of a dark purpley green, or a blue green, I guess I should say, for some of the other sections. And then I'll come back in and add some dots and fine liner and whatnot. And the most important part in many of my paintings, the cute little birds in the sky, which you will see here in just a moment at the very end. I really like how this painting turned out. I think it's very pretty. Here are the birds. And at this point, I feel like I can call this one complete. And here is the reference photo side by side with my painting. I think that I emulated the reference photo pretty well. I think it's so fun. Just love seeing them side by side. Now, back to all of the boxes we have to open. The next box is an eBay purchase that I made. And I was debating there whether to clean the desk or not. That Daniel Smith split primary set, I did show you a previous version of this that I did buy from the same eBay buyer, but she had another set for only $21, and I teach with that several times a year, lots of times a year. So I picked up another one because it's so affordable. So then we have all of these Faber-Castell markers. These are all sketch markers. I thought they were all sketch markers. You will find out that that is not the case a little bit later in the video. You can probably see that right there. So these sketch ones are alcohol markers, and this box here is the aqua ones, which are water-based markers or watercolor markers, but I didn't notice that for quite a while, but that's okay. Anyway, they have some information on the back. I have 7 sets of the alcohol markers and 7 sets of the aqua markers in various color combinations. There are some duplicates, but I have a lot of these markers now. I really like the Faber-Castell brand, and these were so incredibly affordable on eBay. They are supposedly brand new, and that I do believe from their condition that they are brand new, and I couldn't resist them. I got these 14 sets of 6 Faber-Castell markers in each set for I think only $68. It was a steal in my opinion. I'll have to double check that price. I'll put that up on the screen. At this point, I still believed that I had all alcohol markers. So I was trying to find books that were single-sided. So I went through my collection of coloring books and found a few that I really enjoyed. And the one that I ultimately picked was from this Crayola Nature Escapes book. And I want to do this parrot. I grabbed this sheet protector just from random stuff I had around to prevent the alcohol markers. So I thought from bleeding through. But first, we need to organize these markers. I have this marker organizer from my grandma's house that was still empty, and I thought that would be perfect. And there happens to be 7 rows in that organizer, and they hold 12 markers each, so that exactly fits what I have in front of me right here. So I dumped them all out, even though they're so pretty in their individual boxes, and I was organizing them all by color when at some point I realized I have aqua markers and alcohol markers. So the plan changed. Out of the aqua markers, out of all of those 7 sets, I had 8 duplicate markers. So I kept those separate and just put them at the very bottom part of the marker organizer, which you'll see here in just a moment. And I put them the other side of the marker facing out. There you have it. Those are the aqua markers. Next up are the alcohol markers, and I did spend some time dumping these out, and I wanted to look at the brochure. It is pretty much the same as the aqua one. There was a swatch sheet in this one, which I didn't see in the others, but I'm sure it probably has that. So out of this set, I believe there were only 4 or 5 duplicates, and one thing on the other set, the aqua set, 3 of the duplicates were blacks. So that's never a bad thing to have some extra black markers. So one thing about this marker organizer is there's a lot of play for these particular markers. These are long and thin markers. So I did bring out my Canvas Art or Canvas Global Art pencil organizer because these would work really well in that. But I ended up deciding to leave these in this marker organizer for now. This parrot coloring page measures about 8.5 by 10 inches, which is about 21.59 centimeters by 25.4 centimeters. So it's not huge, but doing this, even with alcohol markers, which cover large areas pretty quickly, took me just about an hour and 5 minutes. This was really fun. These markers felt very smooth. They blended nicely, although granted, I did not do a lot of heavy blending with these. So do not take this as gospel for how these markers blend because I barely blended. I basically did some blending on the part of the feathers that look like leaves in this particular illustration, but I did really enjoy the feel of these, especially on this paper. It's pretty thick paper. And the color selection, although I did have 7 sets, was fairly decent. I do feel like I could have used more browns and the reds were pretty lacking, but I didn't pick and choose these sets. These were just what was available on the eBay listing, so I think I did pretty okay with that. So since this was an hour and 5 minutes of footage, I am definitely speeding this up. This is actually sped up by 2,500%. Can you believe it? It was very enjoyable. I have never worked in this coloring book. I looked through the pictures that were done in this book and they were done by my mom. So apparently this was her coloring book, which makes me kind of happy to be using it. So if you're new here, you may not know, I am an absolute marker fan. I don't put markers on my videos very often because this is mostly a watercolor channel, but they are kind of making an appearance more and more because I'm just enjoying them so much. And I have gotten really into my coloring books again lately as well. So tell me in the comments below, do you guys like markers? Do you like these adult style coloring books? What is your favorite thing to do in them? And who is your favorite coloring book author? I do like Joanna Basford, although her illustrations are quite detailed, so sometimes it's hard to use a big marker like this. I would say the only downfall to this coloring book is it doesn't give the author's name, or I should say the illustrator's name on each of these pictures. I tried to use this yellow marker just to see how well it covered a big space. And of course I had to stop and let the marker rest. So there's not a lot of ink in there to do a large space. So do not use these to do a really large space. Now that we've finished this illustration, let's look at the backside of the paper. Yeah, pretty typical for an alcohol marker illustration. You have an entire new painting on the backside of the paper. That is why with alcohol markers, you choose illustrations that are single-sided if possible, or you don't care about what's on the other side. So there is that book and these markers. Now we should try the aqua ones since I discovered we had them. And for this trial, we are going to use this bird's book, which was given to me by the same person that gave me all that happy mail in the beginning of this video. She gave this book to me a couple of years ago, and it is the perfect book to try these markers out because it is supposedly watercolor paper, but it's very smooth, like very, very smooth, almost smoother than hot press paper, but reminiscent of hot press paper. So I figured it'd be the perfect surface to use to try out these Faber-Castell aqua markers. And some of them, the newer ones, I assume, have a little water drop on the cap, which is so cute. I did try to dissolve these in water. They don't work, so you just need to use them like regular markers. And once again, this is sped up by 2,500%, and I apologize for that, but this video is getting longer and longer. So if you want to see these in slower, more detailed format, then do let me know in the comments. We could do a dedicated video on each of these markers if you have an interest in it. You can see the colors here are actually really quite pretty, and what you can't see from this video is how lovely they feel on the paper. They just glide across it and go over the paper and the layers of previous colors so smoothly. And it's really nice in this book because there are illustrations of these birds the way they actually should look, so you can flip back and see what the coloring is really like for these birds in real life. And I had enough grays in this set that I could really emulate what I was seeing on that reference photo. So I had just bookmarked it with those Winsor and Newton postcards and just kept flipping back to look at and see what the bird was supposed to look like, because while I love and admire birds, I don't know them very well. I can't remember if I told you, this one took 40 minutes, just about, and oh, it was just a lovely experience. I could probably just keep coloring with these markers for a long time, especially on this paper. This paper was so incredibly thick. It was intensely thick, and they say they don't bleed through any paper, but they didn't even have a chance on this super thick paper. You can see there's no ghosting, nothing. It's just a lovely experience. So great paper for this, a good book for these markers, and the markers were really nice. So I'm excited to try them on some other surfaces as well. On to the next item. Meeden sent me these watercolors. This is a 40 color set of 15 mil tube watercolors. And oh my goodness, that packaging looks so amazing. I did not ask Meeden to send these to me. They did not email me that they were sending them to me. However, it's fine. Meeden often sends their artists that they've worked with in the past random gifts, and I think that's quite sweet. But oh my goodness, look at this packaging. These look like deluxe watercolors, and the swatch sheet is so nice because it already has the black lines. It has the block cloth, if you will, and yeah, packaging top notch. Good job, Meeden. They have the ribbons with really sturdy box for the layers, and each watercolor is set in a plastic separator so they stay where they're supposed to be. But the boxes for each layer are very sturdy, like I already mentioned. And there are some standout colors in here that I want to try. There's a light pink, a baby pink, a sky blue. I can't even remember, but you'll see them here in just a moment. So I am excited to give these a try and kind of see how they compare to some of the other higher brand of watercolors that I have. Really, the transparency and light fast testing will be the key to these. They do have light fast ratings, they have pigment information, they have everything you need, transparency information, so it does make you think that they are maybe high quality. We'll find out eventually over time. I picked out those few standout colors: blue pale, light pink, Payne's gray, natural gray, and purple red. And then I really wanted to try the olive green. I ended up putting it back in the box, but I needed a green later in the painting, so I pulled it back out. So we end up trying those 7 colors. This one here is the blue pale. I think I said pale blue earlier. This is a mixture of PW6 and PB15, and it was a lot brighter than I expected, so I was checking the pigment there. Yeah, PB15 is a bright pigment, but this is actually really lovely. You add enough water and it can get to be this color you're seeing right here on the screen. The one I'm activating now is the pink pale, and it's a PW6 and a PR101. Now, the first one I showed you said it has a 2-star light fast rating. This one also says 2-star, and I believe that's out of 3 stars total. This one here is light pink. It is a PW6 and a PO13 with a 3-star light fast rating. It's considered semi-transparent. The pink pale was considered opaque and the blue pale was considered semi-opaque. Now I'm going to mix the Payne's gray, which is very purple leaning. It's quite pretty. It's a PB29 and a PBK7, so a blue and black pigment. 2-star light fast rating, semi-opaque. With the neutral gray, this is a PW6, PB29, and PBK7, and 3-star light fast rating, also semi-opaque. Although it depends on how much water you add to each of these. The Payne's gray is really beautiful. I know I already said that, but it just really is a nice color. You can see it in its much darker form there. And here I'm adding more of the neutral gray to just get that darker mountain range in the very front. Still is mixed with a tiniest bit of the Payne's gray, but it is mostly the neutral gray. And you can see that I had already decided to pull out that olive green and try it out, so I had just this little plastic sheet from another kit that I'll show you in a minute to use as a palette because I was out of mixing space in that little ceramic one, which is so cute. But this olive green is definitely not olive. It's very bright. So I did mix some of the Payne's gray in with it to get this lovely dark green. But this green on its own is very striking. It's a good landscape color, but it would be one of your brighter greens. So definitely not a muted green like I think of olive greens. However, it is a nice green, and you can mix it with all these other colors to get it to be the color you want it to be. Now here is the olive green kind of more on its own. I may have still had a touch of the other color in my brush, but you can see there, even though I'm touching the wet paint up there, it is much brighter than the color I had mixed with the Payne's gray. And here is that same olive green, more watered down, so it just gets lighter and brighter too. It's like I said, it's a pretty color, just not what I think of exactly as olive green. So we'll go ahead and speed through this painting at 2500% again, putting some reflection in this little pond. I just had this image in my mind, made it up completely, and I actually do better painting if I have some kind of reference to look at. So this is not my most favorite painting in the world, but it got me to try the colors in a more interesting way than just swatching them, and for that, I like it. So I'm curious if any of you have tried this particular version of these Meeden tube watercolor paints and what you think of them. Have to put birds in. Here's the palette at the end and the painting. Both the paintings together. They're so pretty. I love them. I like the one on the left the most, of course. In the next box is another gift from Meeden that I did not expect. It is the Pocket Travel Kit. So you guys have seen the Light Wish version of this kit on my channel many times because I've shown them many times. And there's one that I use pretty much constantly right now that zips up in my everyday use. But this one feels just nicer. It feels softer, more plush, more deluxe. However, this is an open folio. So I mentioned my current favorite has the zipper around it. This one does not. It does come with refill paper though, which is a really nice touch. And again, the packaging is really top notch. And it comes with a travel brush on the side there. Now this one is neat because it feels like cotton paper. It probably says it's cotton paper. Actually, I don't know if it does, but the paper feels fine. It's very small paper as usual, but that's okay. I was looking to see if it said cotton anywhere, and it does not, now that I'm remembering. Now, they tried to do the drawer thing like Lightwish has, and it's such a cute little set of watercolors. It has a ceramic coated, actually, I think it's just plastic, a really nice plastic mixing space, but the little watercolor slots and the drawer are so cute, but they did fail, I think, in the execution of this because when you pull this out, there's nowhere for it to stay. There's no catch on it like the Lightwish version that I've been using all the time this month. It just it would just fall out. So if you take it out, you would either need to clip it on to the folio somehow with a bulldog clip, or have a desk surface that you're working on that you could set it on, or something, because it will not stay as part of the folio kit once you pull it out. Now, I'm not going to try this kit in this video. I don't need another kit like this, although it's so cute and I really appreciate receiving this. Maybe I'll save it for something in the future, but I just don't know. Without having a way for the colors to stay with the kit, just in it somehow, it makes it awkward. So unfortunately, this may end up being a gift for somebody, perhaps that lady that I did the art kit for in my last video. And last but not least, and I feel I've saved the most cutest thing for last, although it's not the best thing, it's just the cutest thing. It came in this small little box, and it came in a white, just plastic envelope with no markings on it from some random guy's name in Texas. So it ships from somewhere out of the US and comes to Texas, and then from Texas it gets shipped to whoever in the US. So anyway, the box itself, once you get it out of the white plastic envelope, has no markings on it or nothing, and just blank. So I was a little underwhelmed. This thing was expensive, and it just comes with this little paper wrapping, and that's it. There's no note, no thank you, no sticker, like nothing that says you ordered this, thank you so much. I spent $88 on this thing. It's so cute. It's from Blue Star Crafts. It looks like a little book. I know they put time, energy, effort, money into creating this, but I had a discount code and it was still $88. And there was just nothing in the packaging that made me feel like my order was appreciated. Do you know what I mean? I hope you know what I mean. I feel a little, I don't know, spoiled saying that, but like, come on, that's an expensive little item, but it's so cute. It has a spray bottle, a place for 9 watercolors, a tiny mixing space, a sponge, a little miniature brush, which you're gonna need to paint on the tiny little paper it comes with. But, however, it only comes with 2 little pieces of paper, so you do absolutely have to cut your own paper to continue using this, because that's the other thing. I'm like, come on, guys, for it's $98 normal price. You could have included more than just 2 pieces of paper to show where the paper is supposed to be. And it does have the clip, and you can clip it on to your sketchbooks, although it's a little tricky because it actually has to go, the other layer has to go on top of it. That ended up being an awkward sentence, but I think you know what I mean. When your paintings are finished, though, it can go under this little plastic sheet, which I think is quite nice. It kind of protects your paintings once they're done for a while until you can get them home. So that is a nice feature. And whoop, that magnet does hold your paper there. Luckily, it didn't just go anywhere in my desk. It just clicked itself to that other one over there. But yeah, this is kind of a purchase regret, yet at the same time, it's so cute. Like, it's one of those things you just buy yourself because it gives you that good feeling when you have it and you like looking at it. And I think I will use this. I think it would be fun for maybe a 30-day or even just a 15-day little tiny painting challenge. But it was too much money and not enough thank you. You know what I mean? So anyway, I was just seeing here, if this were a sketchbook and not a whole folio, would this clip on to this? And yes, it would, if you weren't fumbling around like I was. So that would work, except you need it kind of, there's no point in having it clipped to a sketchbook unless you're painting on bigger paper than it comes with, because it has a place for the paper. So anyway, this thing is so cute. I will link their website below, but guys, unless you have money to just burn, gift money or something, this is just one of those, I can't even think of the word, like kitschy, niche items. There's an actual specific phrase I've been trying to think of for like a week that I can't, but it's just something you buy because it's adorable and it makes you happy to look at, and you didn't mind wasting your money on it, I guess. But I did have some gift money left, so I guess that's what we're using it on. I'll try this out in another video at some point, but for now, this is just going on my shelf to look adorable. I will need to fill it with paint though sooner rather than later so that it has time to dry. So maybe we'll do that in the near future. All right, here's an overall look at all the goodies today. It's fun looking at all of these out on the desk, and I have found homes for them already, so they are not just oot in a boot, as they say in Canada. Is that Canada or is that Minnesota? It could be both. I'm curious what your favorite supply was today, or what you were most intrigued by. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now! So cute.
Oh my goodness.
He's so sleepy. Excuse you.
Ash,
Yeah, I think he is the. I think he is the only
He's
fluffy one.
not gonna be like Jack.
It's gonna be like Jack. This one is.
Kind of cuter they would be if their ears were standing up.
Well, Lucy's were by this age.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, hers stood up early.
Legos.